Hey all, welcome to Share Trek. This is Raj here. Friends, through my mini-series over the last months, I have explained the human immune system and its various components. We spoke about CD4 T cell and how it becomes helper and memory T cells. We spoke about B cells and how they become plasma B cells and memory B cells. We also spoke about macrophages, we spoke about antibodies, and using all that knowledge, we reviewed how AGT103 works, and how it acts against HIV. We also learned about EBT101 and how it works against HIV. And in our earlier videos, we have also described how HIV enters the body, replicates itself, and goes dormant. I've also had a few videos in this channel where one of the videos was talking about what we know so far about how HIV goes dormant, and another video also had information about what we know so far about how HIV gets reactivated. So that's the edge of the knowledge that we have at this point of time. Once we have a reliable understanding of the mechanism that HIV uses to go dormant and to reactivate itself, I think that many functional cures can be converted into sterilizing cure. That is my personal opinion. And friends, let me remind you once again, I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm just an investor. I'm looking at everything from an investment perspective, and also because many of our viewers want information about HIV, I'm doing these extra videos where I go through reliable sources and gather information, try to understand it, and then present it to you. And today I'm going to talk about a new therapy called Sunlenca, and I will handle the Tel Aviv vaccine in the next episode. The reason why I have done the switch is because Sunlenca just got approved in US, I think somewhere around December, and I believe it got approved in Canada somewhere in November of 2022. So these are absolutely brand new therapies, and there is a lot of viewer interest, whereas the Tel Aviv vaccine is still in the clinical process. So I'm going to talk about it in the next episode. But before I proceed, friends, I need a small favor from you. As you can see here in this graphic, 60% of our viewers have not yet subscribed as per YouTube. Subscription is absolutely free, so please subscribe right now. Or you can let me know what improvements you need me to do in this channel to get you to subscribe. And I'm always open for improvement. I'm personally also trying that. Higher subscription numbers helps the channel in many ways. First of all, it tells the rest of YouTube that this is a serious channel and you can find good content out here, and many people have liked it. And the second thing it does is it gives me a feedback from you that I'm doing something worthwhile when I invest my time, energy, and efforts, and also resources in terms of the camera, software, and everything to bring this video to you. So please be kind and press the subscribe button right now. With that said, let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Let's do a quick refresher of the DNA because you need to understand some basic concepts to appreciate how Sunlenca works. Here you see in this picture the double-stranded DNA. The DNA consists of 4 nucleotides, and these are adenine, cytosine, thymine, and guanine. The DNA is present in the nucleus of the cell. When a cell receives a specific stimulus or stress, it may request the DNA to produce a particular mRNA. The DNA uses a process called transcription to read the specific gene and produce a mRNA. Genes are present in the chromosomes, and chromosomes are present in the DNA. That's the way I would like to explain the DNA so that you're clear. Now, DNA looks at one of the specific genes that the cell has requested, makes a copy of it, and throws it out. And that copy is a single-stranded entity, and it's called mRNA. mRNA is read in the cell by ribosomal RNA, and it enlists the help of tRNA to accumulate the amino acid and string them together in a particular sequence to produce the protein specified in the recipe contained in the mRNA. The protein thus produced helps the cell to respond to the stimulus or stress that caused the whole cycle to begin in the first place, and it helps restore the equilibrium in the cell. So this is how the system works. When there's a defective gene, defective protein is produced, and it does not do the purpose that it set out to, and in some cases it can be counterproductive, and that's where you have genetic diseases. And so having said that, let's go back to our main topic, which is HIV. HIV is a retrovirus, which means it carries single-stranded RNA as its genetic material rather than the double-stranded DNA that human cells carry. Retroviruses also have the enzyme reverse transcriptase, which allows it to copy RNA into DNA and use that DNA copy to infect humans or host cells. Once established in the host normal transcription machinery transcribed HIV DNA into multiple copies of new HIV RNA. Some of this RNA becomes the genome of a new virus, while the cell uses other copies of the RNA to make new HIV proteins. Sunlenca is a new therapy that is used with other medicines to treat HIV strains that are resistant to other treatments. In May 2019, the FDA granted breakthrough therapy designation for the development of lenacapavir, which is the active ingredient of Sunlenca, for the treatment of HIV-1 infection in heavily treated treatment-experienced patients with multi-drug resistance in combination with other retroviral drugs. On 23rd of June 2022, the Committee for Medical Products for Human Use, or CHMP, of the European Medicines Agency, that is EMA, adopted a positive opinion recommending the granting of a marketing authorization for the medicinal product Sunlenca, intended for the treatment of adults with multi-drug resistant human immunodeficiency virus, which is of type 1 HIV. The applicant for this medicinal product was a company called Gilead Sciences, Ireland, UC. But Gilead has also bought it worldwide, and I think it's already there in the UK, and it's also there in Canada and the US. Lenacapavir was first approved, lenacapavir is the actual active ingredient in Sunlenca. It was approved for medicinal use in the European Union in August 2022, in Canada in November 2022, and in the United States in December 2022. The Sunlenca dosage has multiple options, but each option requires taking oral pills and then a subcutaneous injection. But before talking about the dosage methods, let us understand how Sunlenca works. HIV uses CD4 cells to replicate. The strategy of different HIV medication is therefore to block different stages of the HIV life cycle. As you saw in AGT101, it removes the CCR5 handle and prevents HIV from entering into the CD4 cell in the first place. And over and above that, AGT103 also installs a siRNA inside the CD4 cell so that in case HIV did come in, its replication and establishment can be disrupted by the siRNA. Whereas if you look at the EBT101, it goes about just decimating the HIV virus wherever it sees by cutting out huge chunks. Now, each infected CD4 cell produces about 300 new infectious viruses that are called virions. ART, or antiretroviral therapy, stops the HIV life cycle. And on ART, the only virus in your body is the one that is sleeping in the resting CD4 cells, or dormant HIV. And Sunlenca is the name of the therapy, the new therapy, and its active ingredient is called lenacapavir. It is lenacapavir that has the ability to bind to the proteins that make up the outer layer of the HIV virus called the capsid, as you can see in the picture out here. This allows Sunlenca to interfere with different steps that are necessary for the virus to multiply. In turn, this reduces the viral load in the bloodstream, which in turn helps protect the immune system, especially the CD4 cells. I would like to read a passage from the European Medicines Agency literature that says, Sunlenca is available as tablets to be taken by mouth and as a solution for injection. Sunlenca tablets are taken at the start of the treatment on days 1, 2, and 8. 1 week after that, patients are given Sunlenca injections. From then onwards, every 26 weeks as maintenance treatment. Injections are given under the skin or subcutaneously by a doctor or a nurse. Before starting the treatment, the doctor must ensure that the patient agrees to keep the schedule of injections and should explain why this is important. The treatment schedule helps keep the virus under control. If the patient misses treatment doses, virus levels may increase or the virus may become resistant to treatment. If treatment with Sunlenca is stopped, another treatment to suppress virus must be started. For people in countries where medicine is not strictly controlled, it's very, very important to emphasize that you would do a lot of damage to not only yourself but others if you do not continue the dosage uninterrupted once you start the therapy. The reason is simple. If you interrupt the therapy, HIV will learn to defeat Sunlenca and it will join the ranks of other ART that are now ineffective. It takes years and lots of efforts to come up with a therapy, and it is the responsibility of the patient to the wider community and to themselves to stick to the dosage regime and prevent HIV from mutating to become resistant to other new therapies. The EMA literature explains outcomes as follows. Sunlenca, taken together with other treatments to control HIV-1 infection, was effective at reducing the amount of HIV-1 virus in blood in one main study involving adults who had already tried other treatments and who did not respond or were no longer responding to most of the medications used to control HIV-1 infection, which means they did the study on patients who had gone through a whole lot of treatment, probably they stopped it in between or whatever, but they had become totally drug resistant, and this was the last measure available, and that's where Sunlenca came in, and that's the patients on whom this was tried, the clinical trial was conducted. In the first 2 weeks of the study, patients were given Sunlenca or placebo. Placebo means a dummy tablet, which doesn't have the medication, but people who receive it think that it's the actual medication. In addition to their usual HIV medicines, after this time, 87.5%, that is 21 out of 24 of the participants who were given Sunlenca showed a meaningful decrease in viral load compared with 16.7%, that is 2 out of 12 of the participants who were given the placebo. So that was the placebo effect was only on 16.7%. The first 12 patients were given placebo, then also received Sunlenca, and all 36 patients were given maintenance injections every 26 weeks. Viral load was under 50 copies of the virus per ml in 80.6%, that is 29 out of 36 patients after 26 weeks. And in 83.3%, that is 30 out of 36% of the patients after 52 weeks of treatment. As per information on clinicaltrialsarena.com, the approval of Sunlenca by FDA was based on data from the phase 2 of 3 Capella clinical trial. It evaluated lenacapavir in combination with an optimized background regimen and in heavily treated patients living with multi-drug resistant HIV-1 infection. The study's primary endpoint was to evaluate the antiviral activity of lenacapavir, which was administered as an add-on to the failing functional monotherapy in patients. When administered subcutaneously every 6 months in combination with other antiretrovirals, the drug achieved high rates of virologic suppression and clinically meaningful increases in patients' CD4 lymphocyte counts. Actually, I tried finding the cause for this therapy, but I couldn't find full information. The only information I found was in the Canadian context. It seems in Canada, 4 tablets cost approximately Canadian dollar 3,400. Now in Canada, we have this peculiar system of pricing everything, where the price that you see does not include HST. HST is 13%. So I do not know if this includes the 13% or whether it is exempt of HST. But this is the printed rate for 4 tablets, and I don't know what's the quantity in these tablets, how many ml it is, whether it will form the initial dose or it's part of the initial dose. So I don't have information. I guess you can find it in your own country of origin by going and talking to the pharmacist, because this is available only under prescription. So you'll have to contact your physician and have a discussion with them, and if they think that you're suitable for this, they will give you a prescription, and then you can go and find out what is the price for it and get into this regimen. And this is only if you're suffering from multiple strains where multiple drug resistant strains, in which case this is ideal. And I think that's my understanding of this therapy so far. Friends, I hope you found some value in this. And as always, I would like to repeat the disclaimer. I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm not trained to prescribe medicines or diagnose diseases. What I'm doing here is giving you information that I've gleaned from reliable sources, that is the European Medicines Agency literature and the FDA literature on Sunlenca, whose active ingredient is lenacapavir, and this is what I came up with. Always consult your physician before taking any health decisions. And there are a lot of interesting developments in this field. Many companies are working hard. So a sterilizing cure might be around the horizon, but for now, I think the next step is going to be, instead of having daily ART, probably once in 6 months is what seems to be the trend where we are going, especially with therapy like Sunlenca. So things are improving for many patients, so have hopes. And that's all for now, my friends. And next week, we'll talk about the Tel Aviv vaccine. Bye for now.